I'm Jason Demarco, SVP of Action and Anime for Warner Bros. Discovery and executive producer of Rick Morty the Anime.
I'm also the executive producer of the Rick and Morty the Anime and the CEO of Solar Entertainment that produced this the series. And this is Mr. Takashi Sano, who's the director of the series, and
Takenari Maeda working at Solar Entertainment.
Awesome. So to start out, Rick and Morty the Anime is coming out very soon. Lots of anticipation. So I wanted to ask how you guys felt about the fan reaction for the series.
It's interesting because it's Rick and Morty. There's always a myriad of reactions to literally any Rick and Morty news of any kind. It seems like there's always a huge amount of people who are very excited and a huge amount of people who are like, Rick and Morty sucks. So this has sort of been the same. I think there's plenty of people, based on the previous anime shorts we've done, there's obviously interest in it. There's also plenty of people who are skeptical about it. There are Rick and Morty fans who are skeptical about it. There are people who don't really like Rick and Morty who obviously won't like this. But I think in general, we're happy that the people for whom these are for, who are Rick and Morty fans who are open to the idea of a different interpretation of their show, of their favorite show, seem mostly open to it. And we've seen a lot of good responses from our clips, and obviously the previous shorts that Sano has done millions and millions of views. So we're happy with what we're seeing, and we hope that it leads to a successful run for the show.
Joseph, do you have anything to comment on that?
Hey, we were just invited to play in this wonderful sandbox that they have. So I'm kind of relying on Adult Swim in terms of, because they have the experience of working on this franchise, and so we're just ecstatic to just be here and to be able to do this series. Obviously, he just mentioned about shorts, but the shorts really garnered a wonderful reaction, I think, from the fans or even non-fans. So we're hoping that the series can also bring the similar kind of reaction from the audience, whether they're diehard fans or just a casual viewers. Just looking forward to what happens from here. Yeah.
Awesome. So from a production standpoint then, and this might be more of a question for Sano-san, what sort of challenges have there been in adapting an American IP like Rick and Morty into an anime?
そうですね。アメリカ版の本家のリカのモーティっていうのはとてもよくできてるんで、それとはテイストを変えて、なおかつ本家の世界観を崩さずにオリジナルを作らなきゃなんないっていうのは一つハードルはありました。でもそれをアメリカ版とは違って今まで自分がやってきた日本でのアニメーションの作り方を含めて、でも特に日本のアニメをっていうわけじゃなくて、それを消化しながらリカのモーティの世界観を表現して面白くしようとして、うまくいったとは思ってます。でそういう意味で苦労はそういうところをしたんですけど、チャレンジ自体は楽しかったですし、結構満足できてますね。
So obviously, it's the original flagship franchise is so well done. It's a really daunting challenge actually to take it on by itself. But the problem was he couldn't just make a cheap copy of it because he just think copying it would make it cheap. So he just didn't want to repeat what was being done with flagship. But so he had to something new to the table, and also that is influenced by his his career and experience that he's had in Japanese anime as well. So how do you balance that all out and to make sure that it's an authentic Rick and Morty experience, but it's also authentically anime influenced because it is the anime. So it was a huge challenge to try and balance that. but it was a difficult challenge, but he's happy with it, the result, and he's had so much fun with it, and now he's just holding his breath, how the audience will react.
So, what has been the most rewarding part of working on this project for all of you?
監督から
この、作品に関わって一番楽しかったことなんか報われたと思ったことっていうのはどうだったんですか？
楽しかったのは自由にやったこと。一番楽しかったのはリカのモーティのキャラクターたちを使って、自分の思ってるリック&モーティの世界のストーリーっていうのを新しく作るっていうのはとても楽しかったです。でキャラクターに関しても今回は新しいオリジナルのキャラクターを出せましたし、セリフも本家のキャラクターたちの喋りそうなことを新しく自分の世界の中で喋らせて、それが映像になるっていうのはとても楽しかったです。
For him, just to be able to have the freedom to create what was in his head, like if I was, because he was such a big fan of Rick and Morty, like if I got to do this, what can I do? What can I do, and how will I, make the characters, react, react and move in the world that he would create, and that's just the imagination that he would entertain, but he was actually given the freedom to do so. So it was so much fun just trying to like how would Rick or Morty talk in this situation. What would happen if I put them in this kind of situation? So just to be able to just play in that sandbox and just making things as he went, like with that kind of the degree of freedom. I mean, the word was go wild. So he that just bringing that onto screen, and just realizing it was such a rewarding experience for him.
Yeah, I mean, speaking for us on Adult Swim and myself, it was wonderful to see his direct interpretation that still felt like someone else's vision. I think a lot of times people can be cynical about, spin-offs or whatever you want to call IP extension, but I kind of look at it, the way we're looking at it is not like in the classic sense of a Marvel franchise where every piece fits together. It's more like in the older school sense of these are characters that are powerful and they can go beyond their initial introduction, their initial platform into another format and still be resonant. And the same is true for James Bond or Godzilla, or there's a new Godzilla every year, but we just saw one of the best Godzilla movies that's ever happened 50 years after the original. So clearly these characters can continue to echo through other artists and be relevant in new ways. And so for us, it's really nice to be able to be on the leading edge of one of those things, one of those interpretations, and just see what happens, be able to play with it and see what happens. That's what was exciting for me.
I mean, for myself, I think what was great was, it's sometimes people can pigeonhole anime to what they like. So like anime is this, anime is that, and like that's what anime is in their head. But anime is actually a medium. Japanese anime takes on anything and can do it. So if it's for kids, for horror, if it's action or serious drama or fantasy or even porn, it's there, right? I mean, so it's just a medium to be utilized to create content. And so for us to be able to take on this challenge of, this wonderful big, wonderful franchise, from the West, and that we could interpret it in our way, and to offer something different from Japan, and to be able to work on that, I think was it's a really gratifying experience because we're given the opportunity to show that we can, what we can offer, from Japan, and so I think that was exciting for me. Takenari, you want to?
For myself, concerned with more on the ground process of production. It was really interesting and rewarding to be able to bridge the differences and gaps between the Japanese animation production process and the American television requirements and the different cultures. That was really interesting.
So, I think going off what Joseph was saying, anime specifically aimed at international audiences is becoming much more of a bigger thing. Like Ninja Kamui comes to mind, of course. had to mention it. Love the shirt. And because they're being more frequently produced, do you think that there's a growing audience for those kinds of anime, especially with the worldwide like net revenue for anime now kind of exceeding what's currently even Japan's revenue for it?
I don't think. I mean, he knows probably the market better than I do in terms of the Western market. But I used to be studying that because I've been in the business now, and that's something that I need to keep in mind to produce something. And but what was interesting, I think he can chime more on that, but chime in more on that. But for example, Ninja Kamui that we produced, it was surprising, but the kind of hit that it became. I mean, it was certainly a pleasant surprise. But and part of the reason was because it kind of connects to what we just talked about. For a while, the anime has been pigeonholed in a certain genre. And this was actually a throwback to a lot of these cool action anime of the 90s and 2000s, and that we've kind of brought it back. And I wasn't really sure that segment of fans existed, or is it fans, or is just the audience just been waiting for it? I think was the big question. But just seeing and looking at the reaction and the kind of the hit that we had in our hands, I mean, it certainly was a pleasant surprise. But it did once again convince me that okay, it's much wider than what we think it is. It's much bigger. And so once you start pigeonholing, it's very hard to gauge and then to decide what kind of content do we want to produce, in the format of anime. And so that's something that was actually very illuminating for us, actually. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think as anime has become more globally popular, obviously, I think you're going to see more and more things like these hybrid projects. You've obviously seen a rise in things like Castlevania and anime-influenced projects, clearly. I think there's also now segments of anime fandom where it was more monolithic before, and now you've got very dedicated segments. And I think it's also about figuring out what the show you're making and who it might be designed to appeal to, because you no longer can really make an anime that's going to appeal to everyone. The breadth of the fandom is too large now, and the breadth of the production is too large. So you just kind of have to know what kind of show you're trying to make and hope that the audience that you would imagine for it is out there. But I do hope and I feel that more and more as anime becomes globalized in its audience, I think you are going to see more and more hybrid productions. And to be clear, I know there are plenty of people who don't think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I think it's very exciting. So I hope that more projects like this continue.
Yep.
That's where I stand.
Absolutely.
I'm on the same page with that. I want more projects like this. It's so cool. So I think we're pretty much at time, but I'd be remiss if I don't ask a very specific Toonami question to Jason.
Okay.
What was the decision behind premiering the subtitled version of the Rick and Morty anime on Toonami instead of?
Well, it's a couple things. One, it was originally only going to be subtitled. Originally, there was not going to be a dub.
Okay.
And originally, we wanted to premiere the sub. It wasn't designed to premiere on Toonami. It was going to premiere on Adult Swim. But our programming department basically asked us to make an English dub for various reasons that include international, elements. And so we made the dub, and they liked it so much, they were like, great, we want to premiere the dub, but now we have this sub. And the only place that they saw the sub making sense was Toonami. As far as them premiering it at the top of the block, I know for some reason that's made people mad, but that's not a decision anyone at Toonami made. That's Adult Swim programming. And I don't know if it's a good or bad decision, but I think we'll all find out together. However, I will say this is a science fiction action adventure. I think it will fit in perfectly fine with Toonami. I think the fact that it's Rick and Morty is getting in people's heads. We'll see. you know? But it really was a programming decision that they made because essentially they're so excited about the show, they're like, let's get 2 bites at the apple. So let's see if 2 bites at the apple works. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think for some people it's just like surprising that's the subtitle version and it's like so far up the blog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they want to just try and see. I think they feel confident that because it's Rick and Morty, it has a better chance of doing well as a sub early than maybe some of the other shows that we have aired subbed. But the good thing is, and the thing I think Toonami fans should take away from it is, the idea is if this does well, it opens the door for other sub premieres, which is the goal I personally am working towards. So to me, it's a great thing that they want to try it. I don't know if it's going to work out. Maybe they're doing it in a way that's different the way I would do it. I'm just happy that they heard us, that we want to premiere subs on Toonami. And if it does well, or any sub does really well, it opens the door for not just more originals to premiere subtitled, but for us to license shows that don't have dubs, which to us gives us way more to work with. So to me, it is incremental steps towards an ultimate goal that I hope is achieved. I don't know if this show alone will do it, but I think something that says Rick and Morty on it has a better chance than a lot of other things. So
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I would love that. I remember like a few years back watching like Mind Game on
Oh, yeah.
for the April Fools thing. That was
Yeah.
like so cool. So more things to come. It'd be awesome.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
guys.
Really
Thanks very
appreciate it.
much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.